Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. My name is Arusta, and my co-commentator today is Dwya 2077. We are going to be showing off some Worlds Collide Final Fantasy VI Randomizer. Part of our current events flag set right now, we are showing off the Doom's Rage flag set. We'll be starting. Would you mind telling us a little bit about the event as a whole, Dwya?
Okay, so this is our flashback battle royale. This is our off-season event in between our normal Ultros League seasons, and this is just a big gathering of old flag sets that have been in previous events for the past 5 years. Worlds Collide going on their 5-year anniversary. So this is kind of the special event put in. We've got things from the Warring Triads, the Coliseum, the Blackjack, I believe, and Moogle's first tournament.
Absolutely. The event started last week, and it started with, I believe, about 60 runners, and then 50 of them moved on. This week, about 40 are going to move on. This is not, repeat, not the seed for this week. So if you haven't run it yet, you're completely safe to keep watching. This is actually one of the future week flag sets called Doom's Rage. So what Doom's Rage is, if you're familiar with our Warring Triads event, is you start with 2 random characters. You have shuffled statue battles because it's basically related to the original Warring Triads 3 final boss enemies. And Doom, of course, is the ice one that everybody kind of hates. So you get to part of the flag set removes the fire, bolt, and Merton spells that, the elements that Doom doesn't cast. Your item rewards include high tier weapons, ice shield, and then mag elixirs. And then the other big thing, which is going to make a lot of changes, I think, to the way people route these seeds, is that you get a vigor boost of 20, basically strength for physical damage, but you also get a magic power hit of minus 10. So you do less magic damage by a significant amount, but you're significantly stronger. So with that, plus the high tier weapons, typical way people played these seeds back in Warring Triads was to really focus on physical damage rolling through, because you do get the ability to, a lot of physical damage, but you're also missing a lot of the typical elemental spells that you might rely on.
Absolutely. So one of the things that this flag set does is it does add 3 levels to your boss levels and 6 levels to your dragons. Now, that is something, but dragons are also something that can give you bonus objectives in this. So if our racers defeat 1 dragon, they can get the auto reflect status, which might be kind of helpful in this. Defeat 3 dragons, they get auto haste. And if our runners actually manage to defeat 5 dragons, really want to go out of their way to do that, they can get auto image, which can definitely help for tier 3.
Absolutely. And the other thing to note as well is that shops, so with those remove spells, which are fire and bolt 1, 2, 3 of each, Merton and Ultima, so you can get rods or breakable shields that will cast those elements. Or if you have a rage user, the rage user can cast those elements. You just won't be able to learn them from espers. However, you can't buy rods in shops or super balls or aluminas. So if our runners find rods, it'll just be finding it in a chest, and will likely only be able to use it very temporarily, maybe to cut through, one early boss.
Very true. Now, one of the things about this, and I'm not sure if you mentioned it earlier whenever you were going through the Warring Triad definition, is that the statues are shuffled among each other. So they're going to be in their normal places, but they may just be moved around a little bit.
Yeah, that's a great point, especially since one thing to note, of course, is that those statue spots are pretty much the highest level spots in the game by definition, since you're getting there at the end. So those 3 bosses, Doom, Atma, and Poltergeist, though, or not Atma, Doom, Poltergeist, and I can't remember the third one. Those are some of the toughest ones in the game, toughest bosses in the game, and now they're in the toughest spots of the game. So planning for that is part of your planning in the seed like this, not just planning for Final Kefka, but how you're going to get through that last phase as well.
Which is actually kind of a nice thing, because it's going to be there. Like you said, you definitely can plan for it, and you're not just wondering.
Yeah, and one thing to note, actually, the real chatty is pointing out very well in chat, is that throw is even better in a seed setting like this, where you're missing some of your magic, because you do get fire skeins and then bolt skeins or bolt edges, so you do get easy fire and thunder access should you have a throw user.
Very true. So, like a normal Ultros League seed, our unlock is going to be 6 characters and 9 espers. However, our KT skip, the way that you can skip most of Final Kefka's tower and go straight to the statue spots, is a little different for this. With this seed, our skip is going to be either 9 characters, 13 espers, or 23 checks in all.
Alrighty, and it looks like we are off, and you can see there the boss levels +3, dragon levels +6, strength +20, magic power -10, all right there at the start of the seed. And looks like we got jump on Shadow, which is a very good jump. You know, of course, a good ability, especially with the enhanced vigor, and sketch, which, you know, is always sketch. Still kind of useless.
Yeah, we're probably not going to see too much of sketch after maybe the first getting off that level 3 hump.
Yeah, no surprise here to see all the runners going to Narsh. Very common early play, especially what Sigil showing off with the starting lock, because you can get a free check here. It's either a Valiant Knife or a Ragnarok.
Ooh, yeah.
And one thing to note, I believe, is that first, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe if it's going to be an Esper, it's going to be in the first spot. So even though there's both Ragnarok the Sword and Ragnarok the Esper, the fact it's in the first spot, or excuse me, in the second spot for Ragnarok means it would have been the Ragnarok Sword.
Exactly. So our runners, whenever they get this, they're going to have a nice choice of, well, Valiant Knife's not really a big stick, but 2 very good weapons to start their seed off with.
Absolutely. And a Valiant Knife especially, it's not great super early on because it does get additional damage based on your health and you don't have much health to start with. But you know with this starting lock, you know you can equip it.
Exactly. Oh, speaking of, did I see an Atma and a Ragnarok for sale at Narsh?
Yes, Atma weapon for about 50,000 and Ragnarok for about 65,000. So both of those are cheap enough. You can probably afford them. In a flag set like this, where you know going in you're not going to have a ton of magic, you probably start thinking about how you can save up for that.
Well, listen, if they find an early Katana Soul and manage to take it out, that's a good chunk of change for those, plus the offering for that Valiant Knife if that's what they took. Ooh, and a Celis.
Absolutely. And Celis is always a good early pickup, especially if you find her this early before you've even done any of the checks, like any of the South Figaro loop, knowing that you're going to want to loot a lot to buy those items. You can route her right in, get that free check there as well.
So with a start like this and knowing what our flag sets are, what are the things you're looking for first off?
So the first thing I'm looking for is I want some sort of big stick, some sort of physical offense, which looks like they found it, or at least the possibility to get it. In the shorter term, because physical attacks don't really kick up in Worlds Collide until you get at least a few levels under your belt, I am looking for anything to get me through some early checks. So maybe some Super Ball, maybe even like a rod, anything that I can break to just get past one early boss and really get this thing started.
That was kind of my thought too.
I would also, in a flag set like this, where the bosses get an immediate kick up in levels, I might consider taking a couple battles on the overworld just to start off, because there you have options. You can save, you can heal up after every fight. So you've got a lot of options there.
Yes, so that was double earrings in World of Balance Narsh just sitting in the crates. With magic being a little nerfed, they're probably not as excited to see that as, say, if they would have found like an Atlas Armet or a Hyper Wrist or something like that.
That's true, though it is worth noting that -10, while it is a noticeable penalty, 2 earrings is still a 50% damage boost, so pairing earrings still can provide you with some very viable magic if you find any. As well, characters with high natural magic like a Realm, even -10, she's still pretty strong.
That is true.
Sigil finding out that the Zen Thief is like 50,000 in the World of Rune. One thing to note if you're new to the randomizer is that it does cost different in the World of Rune and World of Balance. I would not be surprised to see Sigil or others check that in the other world, because if it's an Esper, you do want to buy it. You might even want to buy it if it's dead check, since there's a good chance dead checks can only provide high tier weapons, a Mag Elixir, or an Ice Shield. So basically, everything except the Mega Elixir is a awesome pull. So you'd probably want to buy that, but hopefully for less than 53,000.
Wow. Okay. So we picked up a Go-Go in the Figaro basement, but up on Sigil's side, we're seeing a very early Phoenix Cave play. What do you think about this?
As long as you're cool with leaving the dragon behind, which, is a reasonable play, I kind of like Phoenix Cave if I'm going to do it, doing it early, because there's a lot of chests that you can get more or less along the way, get a lot of useful items, and it's something where you don't really want to put it off and then try to do it at the end and just have all this running for nothing.
Very true. I know this is a check that a lot of runners tend to kind of fade, just because you do have to split up the party, and if you're not going to take the dragon, it does kind of feel like a wasted check. So if this pays off for Sigil, this might really put him a little bit in an advantage.
Absolutely, though it is interesting that Sigil did not do like the free check to get Celeste. Not that it would matter necessarily, but typically if you're going to do something like this, I would at least get some of those free checks just in case, if you find something useful, maybe you can get some benefit out of it here.
I think it was Fitz that once said concerning checks, you have to eat your vegetables before you can have your dessert. So do the longer stuff before you get your free checks. Tends to work out for him, I think.
Yeah.
Ooh, and a Genji glove in Phoenix Cave.
That is very nice, knowing that you've already got that Valiant Knife. You might be able to find some more. You can pick up that Ragnarok that Sigil left behind, because there is the option if you find a Terra, you can get that item back in World of Balance. So, and if you do, of course, you will go back and pick it up. So it's nice to find that, have some options for extra swinging.
So you mentioned earlier trying to look for rods to break. I just saw fire rods, and I think it was World of Ruin Figaro? Is that what I saw?
I must have missed that on the screen. I think you can't buy rods, but you can find them in boxes and stuff. So maybe they found a couple.
Yeah, Gar has got it on his screen here. He's selling some stuff for him.
They can buy fire rods. That will be a nice start to get this seed off the ground, get off that level 3 hump.
Interesting. I apologize for that. I was checking the infographic, which does say no rods, so I blame the infographic.
We'll talk to the big bosses after this.
Yeah, we'll have to fight the bots.
Yeah. So that was a Zone Seek Esper at the bottom of Phoenix Cave.
So that's not, you need the Esper, so you're glad it's not completely dead. Probably you were hoping for a character there, but if that Esper has something that Sigil can use, that could be a big advantage, because as we mentioned, that's a check that a lot of runners tend to fade. So if it's something useful, you might be able to get the benefit that they won't get it.
Wow, and that's Pearl Rod, Fixed Dice, and Hero Ring in boxes in South Figaro World of Ruin.
Now that is exactly what you want. And hero rings in particular are very useful in a flag set like this, where you might want to use, you're going to probably rely on physical attacks, but you might still have to use some magic. So, because they count as both an Atlas armlet and an earring. So you can get both the physical benefit for, if you're mostly hitting, but then if you occasionally want to cast some spells, if you get Ice 3 or something and want to use it on Ice weak enemies, you get both the benefits at once. So very valuable in a flag set like this.
Absolutely. And we just saw our Cursed Shield count. It's a count of 8, which now they can't learn Ultima off a Paladin Shield if they uncurse it, but that is a really like the best defense of the game.
Absolutely. And Glue also showing off that got some Mirage Vests. And Mirage Vests are very nice in that it is pseudo calmness protection that resets every tier on Final Kefka. And especially if you've got something like a Ragnarok where you need to be in the front row, it gives you that nice added physical attack protection the entire seed.
For sure. And I just saw Glue's equipment loadout, and as the game likes to say, he's loaded for bear. He's got a Valiant Knife, Ragnarok, and Fixed Dice.
Yeah, and I do like the play here to just get a few obvious battles here. The nice thing, and a proc, that's what you like to see. This is a nice spot to fight because you can always just dip back in, get the free heal.
Yes. Dice doing what dice do. They're going to gam you.
Yeah, basically looks like proccing for either. There you go. Gets through it. Going to get probably quite a bit of levels off this one battle.
And I saw Gar picked up his Ragnarok, so he's probably pretty happy to see that. Nice big sword to get him off the ground.
Yeah, as well as picked up the Fixed Dice as well.
Well, I have to say, so far this seed has been pretty generous.
Yeah, I think pretty much at this level where you've already seen what you've seen with the offense they already have, I think primarily what you're looking for is maybe a Dragon Horn, though it's worth noting you won't find it in checks like you might in other seeds, so that you could turn that jump into a jumper. Otherwise, just more physical damage and some more levels, but they're in pretty good shape overall. I would not be surprised to see all our runners start seriously pushing for checks once they finish up this grind. Ooh, and that is not the grind fight you want.
No, Glue, get out of there.
Hopefully Glue has saved sometimes recently.
Ninja-type monsters are very dangerous, and yeah, he's going to just reset out.
Yeah, hopefully Glue saved sometime before entering this cave. I think he did.
Oh, and he's going to nope out of that completely. He'll come back at a later date.
Yeah, I do like the idea of doing the Opera House here because you get a few fixed encounters to help push your levels. It's a fairly quick check, and you get to push. Celis is wasn't one of your starting characters, so there's a nice chance that Celis leads to more characters. So I like this play here by Glue.
Alright, Sigil is going to be checking the World of Balance in Thief, I guess? Because he checked World of Ruin, didn't he?
Yes, and that was 52,000. Well, it's a glowing stone. It's 58,000, but that's something I think you just sort of keep in the back of your mind. Given how much else we have to buy, I think maybe you just keep that in the back of your mind and come back to it later if you feel like you need espers, but maybe don't buy it right away.
Absolutely. He did find a Dragon Horn, though, that you mentioned earlier, so it looks like he's going to be picking that up. And, oh, what a random encounter.
Yeah, and this is the one really good use for Sketch here that you can see is that having bad luck with it, but it can do the Katana Soul kill if it decides to do that rather than attacking. There you go.
There it is.
And this is going to be a huge advantage for Glue. I wouldn't be surprised to see Glue maybe even take some extra fights that you normally dodge here, just because that an offering plus $25,000 is basically an offering plus half an Atma weapon. So that's really going to pay off.
Oh my gosh. So get your offerings, get your money for Atma weapons. I mean, That's your end game right there.
Yeah, that is a huge advantage to glue to find that.
All right. Vigil's getting his Celis.
Yeah, meanwhile, even this other encounter here, it's kind of a pain, but these do give pretty good experience for the encounter that Glue's fighting here.
Well, much better than a ninja fight, though.
Yeah, unfortunately, we now get to watch offering dice and just see your time just slip away as you watch that. It's effective, but man, does it always feel bad. It feels like you're just watching time just fly away as you watch that animation over and over and over again.
You know, they don't put clocks in casinos just for that reason, so you can't watch the time just go by over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah, meanwhile, Papa Shango finding a martial fight, deciding to burn a rod. That makes plenty of sense here. Somehow has 3 pearl rods, just breaking one to get through that fight really quick. To South Figure Cave here. See if it pays off, see what they get from this.
With Go-Go in your party, rods are the way to go.
Oh, and that is a Terra, which hopefully Papa Shango knows and remembers that you can take that Terra immediately to World of Balance Narsh, do the Welk spot, and then right after the Welk, you can pick up, whether it was a VK or a Ragnarok that you left behind, you can pick up the other one.
And I noticed he didn't even check what Terra had on him. Terra just goes straight to the party.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, replacing that Go-Go, because this flag set is not great for Go-Go, because Go-Go's natural equip pool of weapons kind of stinks. And especially with that -10 physical, or excuse me, that -10 magic, but plus 20 physical, it's just not an ideal seed for Go-Go.
No. And Sigil not remembering that if you mimic an item use with Go-Go on an enemy that dies, he's just going to throw the item on that spot.
Yeah, though I will note one thing as Chad is mentioning, is that you do get the palette swaps, which is one of the things that we added in for this Warring Triads. So with Doom's enemy sprite being kind of dark colored, a lot of the characters have sort of their blue/black alternate uniforms on today. Some of them look very good.
Yes, they do. I actually really like Celis with this color scheme. And Terra when we finally see her.
Yeah, Papa Shango taking that Terra and going to Terra's check here. This is pretty much always Imperial Camp, always something you want to do pretty quickly, just because it's all these chests. It's the most dense treasure area in the entire game. Costs you very little time to get, and then you get the check at the end of it too. I believe found a Thunder Shield, which is great. Warp Stones, I don't know if they found Warp Stones to buy, so those never hurt. So plenty of good stuff.
Yeah, that Thunder Shield will be really nice. Even though it can't teach the spell, I mean, that's a little bit of protection. And also, if they need to break it, they can. And that's a Bahamut from the opera.
So that could be something. We do not have multi-summon turned on in this flag set, but Bahamut has high enough offense, especially with the Go-Go, if you happen to have the Go-Go in your party, that it can be still useful even with the reduced magic power, just because of how powerful Bahamut is naturally.
Yes. One thing that Schwann's pointed out in chat earlier that I didn't get to comment on is that Zone Seek had Mute on it. So if no other runners find Mute, that's actually pretty huge.
Absolutely. And then as well, just seeing that Phoenix can be bought from the Zen Thief. You do get plenty of ability to revive in this flag set. It's not one of the permadeath or anything like that. So Phoenix, not as useful, but it does do fire damage if you're really desperate for fire damage.
Oh, but just slow and dispel. Wah wah.
Yeah, though I did see Drinks, I believe it was the second Esper that Bahamut did give +1 magic power, which still low level. You know, you put that on someone, you're going to pretty quickly make up and then more than make up for the lost magic power. So you can turn someone, if you need someone to be a mage, you have that option.
Absolutely. Did you see what Papa Shango got from the sealed gate?
I did not. I was looking at the other screens.
Maduin. Thank you, Schwantz. Thank you for pushing buttons and keeping us honest.
Yeah, it looks like Papa Shango. Oh, Pearl. Pearl's not bad. And then HP plus 50% can be very nice, given that you already have a Valiant Knife, or if you didn't pick it, you know you can go get it. So that can be very helpful. And I do like the idea here of going straight to the Magitech factory, especially with that cursed shield that you're close to uncursing, because you got a bunch of fights here. You've got guaranteed progression at the third spot, plus potentially 2 Espers in the first 2 spots. And when you're at 1 Esper out of 9, Espers are primarily what you're looking for anyways.
Well, with that in mind, if they go to Magitech, do they actually do all 3, or do they just warp out of after check 2?
I know opinions vary on this one, and I will not claim to be a top-tier runner, but my opinion is pretty much if you're going to go to 2, unless you only need 2, like 2 Espers and you go 2 for 2 and then you can bail out and go to Final Kefka, I will pretty much always do the third check, just because you know it's going to be progression. The couple fights you fight along the way, you know, they're grind fights, but they're still experience, especially with the Cursed Shield, lets you finish off the Cursed Shield, so I would absolutely do it. What would you think?
I'm kind of of the same opinion, especially with that shield. Might as well use those fights to uncurse it. The levels are never going to hurt you, for sure. In Worlds Collide, levels are king. So yeah, I would keep going.
Yeah, I mean, especially this early in the seed, the levels or the time you take fighting those couple extra battles along the way and getting those levels, they're going to pay off over the rest of the seed anyways. So, because I just looked like Papa Shango is level 15, so could use the experience.
For sure. And we have tunnel armor at the M-Tech 1 spot. So, going to be a huge challenge there for Papa Shango.
And that's gone.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Sigil going to, I believe, show us the Welk spot here. It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, definitely going to pick up the Ragnarok that they know is behind the tier. But then it'll be interesting to see if they decide to follow up to go to Kefka and Narsh. You do get a teleport back from Kefka and Narsh, but if you get Mog later in the seed, that teleport, I believe, only works once. So if you get Mog later in the seed and you want to do the Lone Wolf check, it can sort of hurt you a little bit later.
You know, Sigil and I we've done a lot of runs together. He's my partner in the Chupon Championship, and we did Moogle Cup 2 together. I'm gonna guess that he is not gonna go on up to Kefka at Narsh. Let's see if he proves me wrong.
Yeah, meanwhile, our tracker pointing out that did get Aura Lance at Magitech 1. That is not something that Shadow can equip naturally, but there is a plus, I believe, 35% chance that you can equip things in this flag set. So there's a decent chance. Shadow does look to be throwing dice, which, you know, if you're jumping on dice, that at least cuts down on the animation time, so that's an option as well. But Dragon Horn Spear does a lot of damage. I mean, that's basically endgame capable damage if he can equip that spear.
For sure. I have to say, between Tunnel Armor and then Welk, this M-Tech factory is, they didn't hire the good guards.
Yeah, meanwhile, we're also seeing Glue and Gar in the same spot. Glue skipping all the chests along the way. I believe Glue is pretty much set, especially with all that money. Glue is set forever, and the 3 offerings they got, something like that. Glue is pretty much set, doesn't have anything to buy. So
yeah, he will probably not. Yeah, he's not going to open another chest for sure.
Yeah, and it's nice Sid in his nice blue armor there. Looking nice, looking stylish.
Yeah. I like that look. It's a nice change from the banana suit.
Absolutely. And yeah, our tracker chat pointing out that there are, as we know, these statue bosses are shuffled, which Doom, Goddess, and Spicy Chicken Poltergeist. Those are all set to KT, and those are probably, if you're ranking the bosses, those are 3 of the 5 hardest bosses, 4 hardest bosses, something like that. So outside of Magimaster, and especially with the physical offense they already have, really you're not concerned about accidentally running into a bad enemy here at the end of this train ride that causes you to reset.
Looking at you, Magimaster. Come on. Sigil is selling the farm, I think, for that Ragnarok. Yep.
And you know you're desperate when you're selling the 95 gold Dirk just to get the last bit.
Yeah.
So it's just the Flame Eater here at the end of the minecart. Nobody will have any problems with this. Ragnarok, as Celeste is about to show us, is going to more or less kill this in 2 or 3 hits.
Good job, Celeste. Hot hands. So 3 of our 4... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, let's see what they get here, because most of our runners, as I'm pretty sure you were about to say, are going to go into our in Magitech Factory. And let's see if this is a character or an Esper. All right, it's an Esper. So now where do you go if you're all these runners? Do you do the multi-part check like a floating continent? Do you do just a bunch of one-offs? Because you've got Terra and Locke, both of whom have a ton of one-offs that you haven't done. Where are you thinking?
Ooh, well, okay. Again, like you kind of said earlier, I am definitely not a top tier runner. However, it is early on enough in the seed, and our runners really have enough power. I would jump onto Floating Continent, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that would probably be my guess as well. It also, I believe it's the first one and the third one, which are guaranteed some kind of guaranteed progression. So, and you can also, if you want to, you can do the first 2 checks and then bail out. It's not a common play, but you can. So, you know, if you get your 6th character and, you know, an Esper, let's say, and you're like, you know what, I don't want to do that 3rd check, have all that extra running, all those random encounters just for the chance of maybe a character I don't need, you have that option as well.
Oh, I think at this point in the seed, though, we're just at 28 minutes. I kind of view it the same as Magitech. If you're going to go ahead and do it, you might as well go ahead and do all of it at this point. For the same argument of it's a guaranteed progression at the 3rd check, it's not going to do anything but help you at this point.
Yeah, and we had mentioned this a little bit earlier, but the checks The skip requirements are 9 characters, so basically 3 extra characters, 13 espers, which is 4 extra espers, which, given the way the seed's played out, I see no way we get there, or 23 total checks. And the caveat with checks, just to note, is that something like picking up the Ragnarok and then picking up the thing behind Welk here, that counts as 2 separate checks if you pick up both options for that. So they can actually get higher check counts than you might think.
For sure. Ooh, this is going to be a spicy Ifrit up on Sigil's side. Taking out 2 of his characters.
Yeah, I think Sigil might be at least a little bit behind scaling here. It seems like Sigil's having a bit more trouble getting through things and killing things than everybody else.
Well, and it might just be a matter of he might have done more of the non-boss fight checks than the other runners have done, especially since they've went through Magitech.
Yeah, meanwhile, Drake's Glue showing us Flying Octopus, which I believe is the second Ultros we've seen this seed. 2 more missing, flying out there somewhere. And Papa Shango playing the strategy of following up to Kefkit Narsh. Looks like just a ghost. This could be, I believe, either a dead check or a Esper. Worth noting that since all the dead checks are guaranteed to be either Mega Elixir, which we can always use, Ice Shield, which is nice, probably your only option for good shields in the seed, or a high tier weapon, no matter what it is, you're probably okay with seeing it here.
Alright, so we've got a Kefkit Narsh, we've got Sigil, who just finished up the Velt Cave. Looks like Drink's Glue might... Is he doing his Welk Gate check?
He is, and buying a Atma weapon, I believe, along the way. Gonna pick up that Ragnarok, and then Drink's Glue basically is set on all sorts of offense here. Won't need to do anything further. Might not even, I don't think he even needs to buy any more Ragnaroks or anything like that. Should be completely set.
Well, when you become a millionaire at the opera, you might as well.
Yeah, isn't that the dream for all of us? Get one through singing.
It really is. Oh, yes. And Magimaster's little cousin, number 24, goes down pretty easily for Papa Shango there. No overflow shenanigans there. And just a Magus Rod.
Yeah, frankly, out of all the high tier weapons, that's probably the worst possible option, given that you're not going to use magic much in the seed. Meanwhile, Drink's going to fire sale to buy some consumables. Always nice to have. I mean, typically, always want to have, especially when you don't need any more money, to have, 15, 20 Phoenix Downs in the bag, dozen or so sleeping bags, and so Drinks will not need to really shop at all for the rest of the seed. Interesting. Looks like Papa Shango going to show us off the Coliseum. I believe there is 100 to 120, so about half of the items are identified here. And you can get pretty much anything. It's like you can get Ragnaroks.
Super Balls, Cat Hood.
Cat Hood is actually very, very good in a seed like this where you can buy something good. I mean, Cat Hoods really, in general, or if you have someone who can equip them, they're just good armor in general. Good stats, good defense, double money. They're honestly one of the few helmets I would actually even consider buying in a shop.
Yeah, I have found that if I can find a cat hood in a shop early, it usually pays for itself, so I will... It's one of those things that I'll sell a lot of stuff for.
Absolutely.
So, looks like Gar is doing the floating continent check.
Yeah, Gar is maybe a minute or so behind where Drink's glue is in this floating continent check.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's right, yes.
And Shango going to show us what's inside a Zone Eater.
I bet the bridge trolls look pretty in blue.
You mean the conductors?
Yeah, bridge trolls, for sure.
Ticket, please. And then they just throw you off.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Schwantz, that Papa took his party down to 1 after Kefka and Arsh, with the plan to do this, so he didn't have to go into the airship, change his party up. He was just ready to go. I'm gonna guess that Papa's actually really hoping to see a character right about now.
Yeah, that would be good because I think Papa's a little behind on Espers. Ooh, and Edgar. I don't think you want to switch out, but Edgar has a bunch of quick checks. It's got some nice combination checks. So Edgar, I think, is a character I would be glad to find here.
Yeah, and the nice thing about Edgar is he has such a good equip pool, too.
Oh, and we got third Ultros. Well, technically Ultros 4, but the third Ultros. And Magimaster.
Ugh. We do not have Berserk, I don't think.
No, that's what Gar was looking through.
Yes.
However, the one thing about Magimaster is, despite being magic, does have crazy high defense, which is why looks like you're about to see a dispatch, because dispatch ignores defense as well. Fixed dice, doesn't really use the defense calculation. But the physical damage they've been relying on might be literally as useful than you'd hope.
We're just gonna hope, for Gar's sake, that jumping with fixed dice is really what gets him through this. That is a nice proc, though.
Yeah, because Flare does ignore magic defense as well, so that's super helpful.
Mm-hmm. Now, Glue's going to have a little easier time with this, just because he's got those double Atma weapons, or the Atma offering. He's got Atma offering.
Yes, as well, if Locke can survive long enough to actually get off hit, also has the VK, and VK, since that damage is added just directly as numbers, VK is very useful as well.
Ooh, but this Magimaster on Glue side is not being very kind. But he's dead.
Yep, and that is an extra Mega Elixir. I believe that might actually be the second one, because I believe there was a Mega Elixir in a pot in Narsh that most everybody found. Yeah. And a Magicite Chote, which really right now, if you're Drinks or your Glue and Gar, you really want Magicite because you got plenty of characters. So that is exactly what you want to see. It's not a very useful Esper, but it's an Esper nonetheless.
It goes towards progression, and that's all they're really caring about at this point. So Sigil's going to finish off this Ultros Chupon duo, and he's going to get the bad news of Magimaster. I'm not entirely sure what kind of offense Sigil has bought. I don't know if he's bought the Atma weapons or the Ragnaroks, but I don't believe he's found the offerings from the Opera House, so I'll be curious to see how he handles it.
Yeah, Sigil, I think, is going to have to just hope for some good dice procs. Yeah, and one thing to note here, if you see, Gar actually landed on the fixed floating continent slightly faster, but since Drinks doesn't have to start dipping for offering and try to find where offerings are, Drinks is just flying and ran right by him.
But Sigil had Berserk!
Oh, now that is great. It must have been one of the Espers that everybody else didn't get.
Yeah, I wonder if it was on that Zone Seek Esper. Or Velt Cave. Yeah, because I think only Sigil and now Papa Shango has done Velt Cave. And Setzer is in Mobliz.
That's an interesting check, because Setzer, I don't blame Papa Shango for bailing out on it, but as characters go, knowing that you need Espers, Setzer's actually a fairly good one, because you get one free check, you get one very quick check that can only be Esper or item in the Search the Skies, so I could see the argument either way for taking Setzer just as I would like to get his checks.
Yeah, I think I would take him. Not to mention it adds to your check count just to do the Mobliz check as well. Because I like Setzer checks. So I would take him.
Oh, and an Illumina there for Papa Shango. Very nice.
Ooh.
That Edgar already paying dividends.
So that's interesting. Looks like Papa Shango is really digging into the different Terra checks. And is probably going to forgo Floating Continent at this point.
Yeah, I mean, knowing that you only need 4 more Espers, I can completely understand that. Looks like it is paying off quite a bit for Drink's Clue, and will pay off for Gar, because I believe that's 2 Espers in the first 2 checks, and you know the third one's progression. And with both them at only 5 characters, even if it's a character, you're happy to see it. So it's going to work out well for them, but I understand Papa Shango on where they're at.
Yeah, Floating Continent's one of those, it's really tricky. It's like you have to time it just right of when it's the best time to go there.
Absolutely, because you don't want to go there too soon and, be unable to finish it, or especially not, if you ran into that Magimaster and you weren't able to get through it, like that would have been a 5-minute time loss. So you don't want to do it too early, but you don't want to do it too late where you don't actually need everything you've got, especially since Floating Continents, the time investment is very front-loaded.
So, yeah, Schwantz actually just stole my thunder a little bit there in chat, pointing out that the mute on Zone Seek that was kind of an edge for Sigil, they found Siren on Floating Continents. That kind of takes that away from Sigil.
Yeah, so when it comes to calmness protection, basically the stuff you'd want for Final Kefka, everybody's going to have mute. Everybody's going to have X-Zone, because that was on one of the other Espers / Instant Death. So really, it seems like the biggest thing is looking for some sort of calmness protection. Drinks has their pseudo-calmness protection in Mirage Vests and can buy more if needed. I don't think Gar or anybody else has bought those, so everybody else is still up for grabs.
Yes. And Papa Shango is going to get the interesting news of all the Katana souls attending the opera. Oh, go talk to the guy, yep.
And a third Esper there for Drink's Glue. So that I believe is 3 for 3. And so Drinks just needs one more character. And with a lot of quick checks, I would expect gonna go do some of these super fast checks. Yeah, one of the things Drink's having to double check there, because one thing about these Dune's Rage seeds is that when the Warring Triads event was going, there's actually a bit of variability in what you need for your checks. It's not like Ultros League where every single week you know it's going to be 6/9. There is a little bit of variability in what you need for skip and for checks. I believe it's +2, somewhere between 0 to 2 extra for skips. So probably just checking to see what they need here.
So we know, okay, was it Edgar that was at Go-Go? Zone Eater check?
Yes, Edgar was at Zogo. Was it
Zogo?
Go-Go? Yeah, Zogo.
I like
And
Zogo.
then, yeah. And then with Terra, there is also the very quick peekable check that has Mobiliz, which for Drinks, Glue, and Gar, if this is not a character, and I believe it's not, I believe it's Nesper, I think you go straight there and go to those. Because it's a very quick peekable check.
Yeah, and they're right next to it. Yeah, I would be surprised if Glue went anywhere else. There he goes.
Yeah, the only interesting question here is, and we'll see how Drinks feels about and Gar feel about their levels, is whether you might consider doing a dragon. Because you know it's going to be a Mega Elixir, which you could use, kind of an Ice Shield, which would be good defense, or a high tier weapon, which at this point you actually don't need. And it would be a lot of levels. Oh, and that is not the character I think Drinks wanted to lose there, having their shadow.
Yeah,
that
probably
with the DK
not.
offering kicked out.
I was kind of holding my breath there to see which one was going to get blown away. Oh, and it's just Kefka. Silly Kefka.
And that was Kefka.
Kefka says, I want no more of this. Alright, so that is unlocked for Glue at 47, 48.
Yeah, and our tracker pointing out in chat that Drinks is only at 16 checks, so basically no realistic way to get to skip here. But with enough offensive power, I don't think Drinks is going to be that worried about it. Should be able to fight their way through.
Yeah, I think it's all going to depend on where the statues fall for him.
Yeah, it is worth noting this could be a case where if you wanted to do the full right, where basically you put your entire real party on the right side, get those 3 bosses, get a bunch of levels, this could be a case where it might be nice, but I think Glue is a very experienced runner here, should be fine. Unless they get very unlucky with Guardian in particular, with your relying on physical defense. That love token can sometimes mess you up badly if you just get it on the wrong person.
Yeah, that is true, but with all of Glue's offerings, since that mitigates the love token, he can just move those around. Chat has very good points. He's not really in any danger of anything.
Yeah, especially I had forgotten that they've got the Paladin shield that, you know, if you're desperate, you can put that on your other hand.
Yeah.
To answer a question in chat, VK, so it is a Valiant knife. It's a weapon in the vanilla game you get in the Phoenix Cave for lock. If you were playing casually, you probably just looked at it and was like, the offensive power is kind of crap. Like, it's way below any other endgame weapons. However, what it does is it has a secret property where if you're missing health, so like if you're missing 500 health, if you're at, you know, 4,500 out of 5,000 HP, that gets boosted straight to your damage. So if you keep someone at very low health, like you'll see Drinks' Shadow, I believe, is at like 300 HP out of 3,000. So that's 2,700 extra damage per hit. So it does crazy damage.
Not a problem. And since he has that offering too, that offering allows him to hit 4 times with that Valiant knife. So 27 times 4, that's going to be a lot of damage.
And yes, it does ignore defense. So yeah, the Valiant knife is one of the best endgame items in Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide. Even though when you were playing casually, you probably never even realized it. You just looked at it and was like, why is the offense so low? Just looking at the raw numbers. Because I think that's how everybody played originally.
Yep. Oh yes, whenever I was a kid, I was like, why would I ever use that? And Glue finishing off the Phantom Train, knowing that it is susceptible to instant death like Doom, but no suplex.
Yes, meanwhile, Gar unlocking Final Kefka. Sigil and Papa Shango both at 7 out of 6 here. So they both need 8 out of 6 for Papa Shango. So they both need a couple more items.
I'm going to take a moment real quick. We actually have a 5th runner in this race. We have 1 free Fitz. I'm going to go check out and see where they're at.
Alrighty, while we're waiting, I do like Sigil's play here of pursuing the Search the Skies check, because this check can only be a Esper or item. It cannot be a character. So, you know, when you need Espers like Sigil does, very good play here. If this turns out to be an Esper, I wouldn't be surprised if you see Sigil maybe do some other quick checks, maybe go try to buy an Esper from Auction House. Lots of options here.
Absolutely. All right, just checking in on Fitz. He is at 5-6 and on the floating continent.
All right, so Fitz is a little bit behind, but Fitz is a very good runner. Could easily come back here. Ooh, and Sigil gets an Aegis. That's exactly what you're looking for there. Huh, killing Tritok rewards you a Tritok. That makes sense.
All right, and it looks like Sigil's probably going to do maybe the first 2 of Magitech to try to get his last Esper. I don't hate this play, for sure.
Yeah, I like it because those first 2 checks are actually pretty quick. Again, those are both Esper item only. So you have a good chance. The one question would be if you go through the first 2, whether you really want to commit the entire 5+ minutes to do the 3rd check at this point, knowing that it's guaranteed progression, but it's not guaranteed to be an Esper. Fortunately, in this seed, Sigil will get what they want from the very first check and then bail.
Is it from the first check or the second? Because was there an Aura Lance
actually,
here?
no, you're right. It's the second check. First one's an Aura Lance.
Yeah.
But the first check and second check aren't very far away, so.
Yeah, so all in all, Sigil will find what he's looking for and be on his way.
Yes, meanwhile, the first check in the center here is a Inferno, which is not a great boss to find, but with the kind of offense that physical offense that everybody's got, I don't expect any of our runners to have issues with it. And it gets you that save point before you fight these statues, which we mentioned this earlier, but the statues are shuffled, so you know they're going to be in some order: Doom, Poltergeist, as we're seeing, and Goddess. So you're already seeing and you know what you're going to face, more or less.
Exactly, and our first one is our Satan's Poultry Spicy Chicken Poltergeist.
Yeah, as long as there's not much, doesn't get hit with anything too problematic, should fly right through this pretty quickly.
Ooh, nice flare proc.
Yeah, and that Merton doesn't feel great, but that is the shadow that has Valiant Knives, so it's actually kind of a bad decision there by Poltergeist.
Looks like Papa Shango is getting ready to do his mobilist check and he'll find Setzer.
Yes, and I believe Papa Shango had already peeked this, so they know it's Setzer, right. But I think Papa Shango is also starting to run low on checks that can reward Espers here.
You're absolutely right. I had forgotten that he had peeked this already.
Yeah, and chat pointing out some interesting stuff regarding the scaling here. So in Ultros League, which is kind of our quote-unquote default settings for Worlds Collide that most people play a lot, maximum level is level 40 for bosses. Drinks is right around that level in terms of boss levels. However, the max level, if you've done a bunch of extra checks in this flag set, can actually be 50. And the difference between level 40 and level 50 is quite a bit. Like that can put Goner on the table. It can put like all sorts of extra nasty attacks on the table. So that's actually very, very good, subtly very, very good for drinks that they had a little less than they needed to. Meanwhile, Drink's having no issue with Goddess. However, Gar getting a little trolled here by Inferno in terms of the shrapnel, which does a lot of damage, and then also the petrification. So, not a great start, but Gar should be able to make it through here.
I actually always hate seeing Inferno in KT with only 2 people in my party. It is my nightmare. This is my least favorite boss in KT.
Yeah, Sigil looking like they're going to take the dragon. Sigil's levels... Oh, no, excuse me, the Colosseum. I think we saw this earlier and didn't really see anything. There were offerings, but then not a whole lot else.
There's Ragnarok, I think, in there somewhere. Oh, and an Illumina.
Oh, and an Illumina. And I would definitely make that trade.
Absolutely.
Because Illumina is the best sword in the game, especially when you get to fight a crummy enemy like a bug. Illumina is the best sword in the game in terms of offense, and then it also is effectively a sword with a shield stapled onto it, because it also gives you huge magic defense and magic evade, and huge stat stick, so it's just great.
And here is our flag set mascot, Doom. Now, Blue's going to make quick work of this Doom in the second phase. Even though he's got shadows on, those offerings are going to allow him to hit every time. there will be no worries here as long as the dice don't scan him.
Which actually, the Setzer that's throwing that dice isn't even part of Drinks' normal party, just Setzer being Setzer, still being able to equip the fixed dice offering naturally.
The fact that Glue has so many offerings that he's just able to throw one on Setzer is amazing. Ooh. Bollingen had Sabin.
Interesting. I mean, at this point, if you're Papa Shango, I think, yeah, you push for Skip.
I wonder if it's one of those things where since he knows that's Mog, he's going to go search for his Esper and then go get Mog last for Skip.
Yeah.
Since he knows it's there. Especially whenever you have so many quick Sabin checks.
Yeah, looks like Drinks is just doing some final party adjusts and should step on the switches here in about 20 seconds or so. Drinks does not, I believe, looking at his Esper list, I don't think they have Calmness Protection, but does have, especially on his primary damage dealers, does have those Mirage Vests, which is Calmness Protection-ish.
Yes. All right, Drinks Glue on switches at 101.01.
So get your guesses into chat as to how long you think it's going to take Drinks to get all the way through these final Kefka tiers. I'm guessing just over 8 minutes because Drinks is doing a lot of damage, but sometimes Kefka can just take a while. So I think that's kind of what it'll be.
All right. Well, if you're going to do that, I will go 8:15.
Going with the Price is Right strategy of going just barely above.
Yeah, something like that. So that will put me at finishing glue at 109.16.
Oh, meanwhile, Gar on their side, that Celeste, ooh, clutch dodge, only 187 health, and that Celeste is living dangerously.
And it pays off.
Yes.
Way to go, Gar.
Good for Gar. Papa Shango getting their unlock. I assume going to go get that Mog as soon as possible to get Skip, because obviously that is completely worth it. Showing us the nice Poison Walk animation here and the free heal, I assume. Spending a lot of money on elixirs, because why not? Can't take it with you. So do you want to explain a little bit about how the tiers work here?
Oh, absolutely. You know what? I was so into watching that I didn't even think about that. So tier 1 on glue, this is already going to be passed, has 3 parts. It has face, long arm, and short arm. I think I'm going to wait to go through tier 1 on a different person. I'll go ahead and do tier 2. Tier 2 has 4 parts. It has the tiger face down below, the blue guy sitting on top of it, which is hit. The creature person in red in the middle is tools, and the one pointing to the left is magic. Magic does exactly what it says. He casts a lot of tier 3 spells, imp, mute, a lot of status effects, and just all around nasty. Definitely want to mute it first. Tools in the middle does a lot of tools moves like diffuser, it's atomic ray, I believe, some very annoying things, but is susceptible to instant death, as we see Glue take him out right now with Shadow. Tiger is usually one of the first ones you want to take out. He is weak to ice, and once he gets down to about half health, he will start doing some very nasty moves like South Cross and Doom Tusk, which can zombify your party member that it hits. And if that happens after you've queued up an attack, it can be uh-oh spaghettios. Hit does what his namesake says. He just hits really hard, and his death counter will be 10 hits.
Absolutely, and that zombie would be extremely, extremely bad given that the kind of physical damage that you're outputting. If it gets on one of your offering characters, that could very well wipe out your party right there if you get zombified and have an attack already queued.
Oh yes. In our year-end review, we had a whole section of clips about people getting muddled or zombied after queuing up an attack, and it is not pretty. Alright, Gar is going to be starting his final Kefka fight here in just a few seconds.
Yeah, meanwhile, Sigil and Papa Shango look like they are both looking for a little extra levels here. Sigil getting the dragon in if you go full right. Papa Shango just looking like they're stopping at the Opera House. And it is worth noting that in this flag set, killing one dragon gets everybody auto-reflect, which, given that no one can cast healing magic anyways, is pretty much just a positive. Killing 3 dragons gets you auto-haste, which Papa Shango, I believe, this is their second dragon, so they might get that. And then 5 dragons get auto-image, and I don't think there's any way anyone's going to go kill 3 to 4 extra dragons here.
Question in chat about why zombie will kill your party if an attack is queued up. So, say one of his party members with the offering, which gives 4 attacks, is queued up. It will automatically change the targeting to your own party, and with the amount of damage that, say, like your Valiant Knife is doing right now, that could insta-kill your party. Ooh, and that is a Terra down for, Glue.
Yes.
Arista. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, because, yeah, one of the things about this final tiers is that any character who's dead when you move on to the next tier just gets replaced with the next character in line based on, the vanilla game when you come in with 14 characters and just sort of run through them. But here in Worlds Collide, when you generally only have 4 characters that are valuable, that's kind of a problem. Here on tier 3, there's basically 2 parts. There is the angel-looking person to the left who has 9,999 HP, casts a bunch of healing spells, can revive the other part, so you generally want to kill that first, but absorbs all elements, but in this case, physical damage, it's not an issue. And then the person in the front that is getting attacked now finishes when they get below 10,000 HP, can cast some annoying spells like Meteo or Train, which Meteo does a decent, about 1,500 physical damage. Train does every status, almost every annoying status effect in the game. And then you get to this calmness, which is you have 1 to 2 when they die, automatic 1 to 2 instant kill physical attacks. You can dodge it with Vanish like we saw. You can dodge it with Golem or Fenrir if you happen to have them, those espers, which we don't. You can dodge it with Mirage Vest, which Glue has. Or you can also just, like any other physical attack, just roll the dice and, metaphorically, roll the dice and pray that someone dodges.
Yeah, I've done plenty of tier 3s with hopes and prayers being my only calmness protection. Alright, and we have tier 4, Final Kefka himself coming down from the clouds in all his splendor on Drink's Glue's side. So right now we're going to be looking to get past that 30,000 damage threshold to get past Fallen One. Now with the offense that Glue has, I'm pretty sure he's probably going to be able to do this.
Yeah, because if you don't, then what it does is he does Fallen One, reduces all your characters to 1 HP, which with the Valiant Knife user is actually fine for them. The other thing that he does, which we just saw, is that annoying, it's called Hyperdrive, So basically, in order to prevent that, he says the end comes beyond chaos. He makes this little skull appear, and this is where you go flat out. You do all the damage you can and just try to kill him in this phase, because once he finishes this, he does a very powerful all enemy attack, or all party attack, called, I believe, Goner, which does 1,500, 2,000 damage, so would nearly wipe Glue's party. Should die before this happens.
I don't know, with the attacks that Glue has been doing, I think he's prepping for the Goner, yep. So now the scary thing about Final Kefka, especially now that we've gotten past the Fallen One phase, Glue's got to be careful that he doesn't get him within 10k of his max health, because then we get into the phase where he will counter with Ultima. And Ultima could wipe the entire party.
Yeah, and that's if you're wondering why Glue is just sort of standing there. Oh, and then you got this Havoc Wing, which does 9,999 health.
Oh, boy.
Drinks right now is pretty much just trying to hold on until getting back to that phase where the skull reappears.
All right.
So now here, Drink has to do everything they can just to... Hopefully we'll be able to get off one quick attack here with Celeste. Hopefully Shadow will be able to attack.
All right, so with Celeste with quick. Okay, this is a good use of a Mega Elixir right here.
Yeah, because you know you're probably going to get a... If you don't kill him here, you're going to get a counter with Goner, and that will again wipe. Shadow's going to survive. Celis maybe. Everybody else is gone.
All right, come on, Glue, you got this.
Oh, Doggo saving Shadow's life.
Best doggo. This is why you pet all the dogs.
Oh, that is
no.
now 2-1 with Empower.
Oh no! Oh, and he survives!
Yes, and Shadow with that Valiant Knife should be enough between Shadow and then Celeste. Just at this point, you just go flat out. And GG.
GG's Glue. Get your GG's in chat. Ooh, that was edge on your edge of the seat fight right there. Alright, so we've got Gar in tier 3. He's going to make quick work of it. I do want to kind of give an update on Fitz, our 5th runner that's kind of off in the wings. Just a little while ago, he was at 7 Espers, 11 characters, and 21 checks and was doing the Tritalk spot. And we've got Glue with us here in the booth. Glue, how you feeling?
It's a little cold in Texas right now, but other than that, I feel great.
Yeah, you kind of had us a little scared there on seeing that Ultima come out.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you feel about that?
I was actually excited because I wanted to draw him to cast Ultima there. I was at a weird spot at the very end because Goner doesn't pierce magic defense. And with Shadow's Force Shield, it wasn't going to do any damage. So obviously Shadow with the Valiant Knife at full health isn't very good. The other option was either Havoc Wing, and I don't know if you saw, but a Havoc Wing did 9,900 damage to him. So it's kind of like no in between. He either dies or does no damage, right? Based on everything Kefka can do there. So I tried to trigger an Ultima with that Sword Tech 5, and fortunately it happened because I needed 15k more damage, and about 2200-ish from an Ultima would put Shadow at that sweet spot. And yeah.
And this is why you're one of top tier runners with those Galaxy Brain plays. So, this is the Doom's Rage flag set from the Boring Triads. Of all the flag sets in the Flashback Battle Royale, which is your favorite?
Either Doom's Rage, which we played tonight, or Edgar's Chainsaw. They're both fun in that various ways. Edgar's Chainsaw, you get barter shops, which is always a blast. Plus, you have Edgar, which gives you access to discount shops. In these flag set, I don't know if you noticed or not, but I went from around 8 minutes wondering how am I gonna afford either a Ragnarok or an Atma weapon, to very quickly having 10 minutes later having 2 offerings, a fixed dice, a Valiant Knife, multiple Ragnaroks, multiple gauntlets, plethora of options. That's the cool thing about the Doom's Rage flag set is that it gives you so much offense, and it can give it to you really fast that things can pick up quickly.
Oh yeah, we noticed as soon as you found those Katana Souls in the Opera House, between the offerings as drops and then all the money, you pretty much had your in-game set up.
Yeah, and that was
very early on.
And that was 100% just purely dumb luck because of the Madam Outsiders. I was trying to get level 12-ish because I had done 5 checks, right? So everything was level 15, and I was level 7 or 8. And that's no bueno, even if you have a Gauntlet and a Ragnarok and a solo fixed dice. So I was like, let me do some fights on the way in South Figaro Cave, and the first one's a Madam Outsider. I was like, well, crap, I can't do that there. I really didn't have any other good options. Opera House is an okay option. Fantastic when there's Katana Souls laying around everywhere in there. But ideally, it wasn't my first option. I just happened to get thrown there by enhancers, by the Outsiders that sent me there.
Yeah, that was definitely a lucky play there, going there and finding that. Arista, you got anything for Glue?
Just wanted to jump in here and say GG's to Gar, who finished off Final Kefka very nicely. I guess our only thought, Glue, very GG's. I know you were a big dog person. Did you notice the doggo saving your tail there against Final Kefka, blocking the hit on your shadow?
Actually, that was one of those times where I wish it would have killed him, because then he can come back with a Phoenix down, and then he could have ended the fight. But, you always love to see Interceptor. Interceptor is one of the true protagonists of Final Fantasy VI, along with Yamaro. They're both silent protagonists, but, that's one of the cool things about Final Fantasy VI. There's multiple heroes.
Absolutely.
Were you disappointed to not have the Yeti?
10,001%. Because of the 50% equip rate, he can equip just about, if he find a Ragnarok or an Illumina, he can equip one or the other most likely. And then, so that's usually Yumaro's drawback, is his limited equipment pool. But in this, you throw it out the window. So you have, not only do you have the best character, he has the best equipment, and it's a very deadly combination.
Absolutely. Gar, welcome in. GG, sir.
Hello. Thanks. That was a fun one.
Yeah, so you had a pretty good Final Kefka fight. Pretty good seed overall. What was your favorite part of it? What really gave you the goosebumps throughout it?
I mean, anytime that you see Ragnarok's for sale a minute and a half into a seed, it's probably going to be pretty good. I would say that my downfall here is probably that I leaned a little bit too much into getting money for Ragnarok's. Because I went and I looted a little bit extra and really kind of was hoping to get a Ragnarok early on, and then I wound up getting it from a free check. So yeah, that kind of felt a little bad. But otherwise, I mean, that was a fantastic seed. Ragnarok's for sale, Atma weapons for sale, Valiant knives for, well, the only one that I found was the alternate from Locke's check. But yeah, I thought it was a great seed.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I can tell you, Glue found, because you didn't do Opera House, did you? If I remember right.
I did not do Opera House, no.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Was that the play?
Well, I went. I'll let Dwight give you the good news.
Well, so one of the first fights that Glue encounters in the Opera House is Katana Soul.
No!
Which set him up with like 3 offerings and all the money he could ever want.
And it's purely dumb luck too, because there's Madam Outsiders in South Figaro Cave, which I tried first, and I was like, I just kind of like threw dart and went to Opera House.
Yeah. Dang. That's because I never found an offering. And I had the ammo weapon, I had the VK. Would have loved an offering. That's why I went to the Coliseum earlier. But just wasn't in the cards for me. Dang. Opera was the place to be. What was the boss there?
I think it was number 128. It was, or an Ultros. It wasn't anything of worthwhile. The other fight was like a phase Necromancer fight, which is a little annoying, but it gives decent experience.
Yeah, I mean, you can just revive that entire fight, which isn't bad.
Yeah. Okay, so I asked Glue this. Gar, of all the flag sets in this flashback battle royale, what is your favorite?
Oh, I'm a big sucker for Doom's Rage. Anytime you get to go unga bunga with big sticks, it really feels good to me. And Doom's Rage, because the item rewards are probably going to give you some flavor of big stick, yeah, it satisfies your inner caveman, and then just the plus 20 vigor really sells it. I think that's one of my favorites.
Absolutely. Arista, you got anything?
No, I mean, I think, again, GG's to Glue, GG's to Gar. And then, yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting flag set. Yeah, not a whole lot. I will say, with what we're seeing on screen, pretty much everybody is in Kefka's Tower. Fitz and Sigil, I believe, is about to step on their final switch. Fitz is, I believe, on their second statue here. And then Papa Shango going through Tier 3. With the amount of damage they have, does not have Calmness Protection, but and that is, Terra is not the one you wanted to lose.
Oh, was that the double? Dang.
That was the double Ragnarok holder.
Ooh. That one really stinks. You'd think you blocked that one with 2 Ragnaroks, but...
Excuse me, double Atma weapon, not double Ragnarok.
Alright, that's a little bit more understandable.
Yeah, but he did lose both his Terra and his Lock. And Sigil's on his switches and getting ready to start his final Kefka fight as well.
Yeah, as far as we know, nobody on stream found any sort of calmness protection except for Drink's Glue. I believe somewhere you found like Mirage Vest, which is calmness protection-ish.
It's protection against anything and everything, including Yumaro's.
Well, nobody needs protection against that. He's too busy flying the airship.
Is now the time to bring up the Save the Yumaro Foundation, Glue?
You see, it's ignorant comments like that the Save Yumaro Foundation aim to correct. With facts, okay? Yumaro has the 3rd highest magic power in vanilla Final Fantasy VI, and you would never know it. What does he do with that amazing magic power? That's up to you, the user, to decide. But he does not pilot airships.
I mean, I respectfully disagree. I think that Yumaro is one of the finest airship pilots this side of the Barren Falls.
Now, Gar, I just assumed that you would always have Strago pilot the airship.
Oh, I'm sorry. Look, as much as I hate the old man, and I do, I cannot deny that sometimes he is useful. And then those times where he is useful, he gets to join the party.
Yes, those 1 in 100 seeds.
I mean, sometimes you get like a throw Strago, and what are you gonna do? You really gonna sit him? Probably not.
So, I would just like to note that we just saw the desperation attack from Celis. Actually, probably not what Papa Shango wanted to have happen, but always nice to see those.
Oh no! And this Goner's gonna be ugly. So Papa Shango is in a really rough spot here. He only has Shadow left alive. He's in Goner phase. And Shadow's jumping with dice and a dragon horn. But this could be pretty scary. No.
And those rolls have been terrible the last 4. I believe I haven't been counting damage, but I think he's only like maybe 10, 15,000 away. And nope, just got terrible rolls.
Oh, scam dice are going to scam.
Somewhere Boo the Runner is nodding and isn't really sure why, but is like, this is why.
I think Physics
fixed
Shebang
dice
is also
later.
doing the same thing. Well, now this is going to put Sigil ahead of Papa Shango. So Sigil is now coming up in 3rd if he can pull off the last of his final Kefka.
Is Celeste swinging a heal rod on Sigil's side?
So I happen to know that Sigil really likes heal rod strats, and I'm gonna guess that that was supposed to hit Locke, and since Locke died, it then went to magic. I've actually seen him use heal rod strats quite a few times.
That is definitely not a common play, but I mean, in a scenario where your party has auto reflect and all that, I can see it. Makes some sense. I have typically only ever used heal rods either as ways to pay for something else or to just, throw, because if you throw them, they actually do normal damage. Surprisingly high normal damage for that.
Yeah, like I said, I've ran with Sigil quite a bit. He likes to keep the heal rod and not sell it just for these times. The real chatty is pointing out, just don't throw them at yourselves. Because doesn't it, if you try to throw it, doesn't it target you first?
Yes.
It does, yes. It is interesting, though, with that wipe, though, Papa Shango and One Free Fitz are very close together. I think Papa Shango got to Final Kefka on his second Final Kefka run slightly quicker, but Fitz does seem to be doing slightly more damage, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Fitz catch up here and it be a very close race between those two.
Alright, Sigil's tier 3 opening up with a whirlwind and it missing everybody, which is nice unless you have a VK user and then you really want them to get hit with it.
I think messed up who was attacking who there.
Okay. Either that or Tara's got the VK. No, I think he just forgot that he took the heal rod off.
Yeah, because saw equip and then unequip an Ultima. And one thing we're going to see here that we didn't really see on Gar or Glue's screen earlier is that... Oh, well, there's a Merton. That's something we didn't see and you don't really want to see. But as well, Sigil without the Horde of Offerings is probably going to trigger some attacks. If you get under 10,000 health on the enemy here, they can counter with either Meteo or Train, and neither of those are really things you want to see.
No, and he's getting really close, I think. Oh, this flare proc's gonna help out a lot, though. It might just push him right into calmness.
Yeah, there you go. Double flare proc.
Yeah, and with Shadow up in the air, that's one way to protect against calmness.
And much better. Terra just looked like that was just a dodge. So nice dodge there. So bringing the entire party. Shouldn't have many issues here. I believe Sigil does have at least one Mega Elixir, maybe two. So even though Sigil is likely to trigger Fallen One rather than skipping it, can heal right back up.
Well, it's going to be interesting because Shadow's up in the air still. So if he's jumping with those fixed dice, depending on his rolls, he could do quite a lot of damage in, you know, his very, very first turn. Or not.
Or hit for 516 damage, and, you know, that's what dice do.
Damn dice. All the way. Nice flare proc again.
Yeah, meanwhile, if you're wondering why Sigil keeps sitting in the menu here, it's a thing called weight tricking, which is basically as animations play out, the ATB does not tick up. So it's a good way to cut down the amount of attacks your enemy gets to do back on you, because you just effectively pause the ATB while watching some of these slow animations play out.
All right, well, Sigil did skip his Fallen One stage.
Yeah, and with that double proc, should be ending here, I would guess.
And that is the crack pow for Sigil. GG's.
GG's. Meanwhile, Papa Shango going to enter Final Kefka here themselves. And Fitz is just behind him, maybe 20 or so seconds of animation behind him. So will really come down to just whoever has the cleaner Final Kefka fight here. I believe Papa Shango does have quick on some of his characters, so might be able to get some extra damage here to skip that Fallen One and get through quicker.
And since Papa Shango went to the Opera House, he's got those offerings with the Atma. Yeah, he's gonna be doing a lot of damage. Oh, and Locke being down at 10 HP with that Valiant Knife. GG's.
All right, GG's. And now Fitz should be done with theirs pretty quickly here as well. Seeing the Beyond Chaos thing. Fitz also, I believe, skipped Fallen One, so Fitz should be right through here.
Sigil, GG's. Welcome in.
Thank you. GG's, Glue and Gar.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, Sigil.
Great race. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Just real quick, that is a GG for Fitz. All of our runners are done. All right, so go ahead, Sigil.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Dwyer.
I was just gonna say, how'd you feel about finding all the big sticks early on?
Felt pretty good, except finding, since I didn't check World of Balance Nosh early. That felt a little weird.
Yeah, with the Atma and Ragnarok in the shop there. All right. So, you decided to do... So all the other runners did full Magitech. And you decided to do floating continent.
Yes.
What made you decide to do one over the other?
I felt I'd get more levels out of floating continent at that time.
Okay. And floating continent, I think, was 3 for 3, so it did pay off.
Yeah.
And I think you were the only one with a Berserk for that Magimaster fight, too, if I remember right. Rooster, you got anything?
I think the only thing, Sigil, this is a question we've asked to some of the other runners as well, is for the Flashback Battle Royale, what's your favorite flag set of all the ones that are available?
I'm really not too sure. It's not Madoon's table, I could tell you that.
Yeah, the Maduin's table is invented by people who don't like people.
Yes. But I think it'd be this one as of right now. Doom's Rage.
Yeah, Doom's Rage was, I would say, back in the Warring Triads when that was live, that was, I think, most people's favorite flag sets. There's just something about actually getting big sticks, because it's guaranteed to be the dead check item pool is so narrow to basically just high tier weapons, plus maggot rods, which are kind of useless in this set, but otherwise high tier weapons that basically everybody is going to end up with all sorts of physical power, and it's just different than the normal seeds you often see in Worlds Collide. So yeah, that definitely makes sense.
It was nice having all the big sticks for once.
Yeah, for sure. That's always a nice feeling whenever you get to, as Gar put it, unga bunga the enemies down.
Exactly. Except I killed my own person at one point.
Yeah, we weren't going to bring that up. We thought... I'm guessing you thought that you had the heal rod on still?
Correct.
Okay. That's what I thought. Alright, so Sigil, you and I, we're relatively new to the community, and it's going on the 5-year mark, which again is why we're doing the Flashback Battle Royale and pulling from all these past events and everybody's favorite events. But we weren't a part of that. We joined for Moogle Cup and stuff like that. What would you say to anybody out there that wanted to join and try out Worlds Collide?
It's a really great community, and there's a lot of people that help you get started. And we have a great mentoring program.
Absolutely. We both went through that.
Yes.
Roosta, do you want to see if we can get... Ah, there we go. There's Fitz and Papa Shango. Welcome in, GG's.
Hello, GG. Thank you.
Hello, GG's.
So Fitz, I want to start with you because so we had other featured runners and then sort of swapped you in once we had a spare spot on the screen. It looks like, according to our tracker, you ended up with 12 espers. Sort of, what was your process, and how did you end up doing that? Because everybody else, the people we had on stream, the biggest bottleneck was not espers. They had the bottleneck of everybody got characters super early, and then they just got to 9 espers, and that was that. Did you find a bunch of espers early, or?
I'll be curious. Go back and look at the tape. I didn't do go-go check. I don't know if there was a character there.
There was an Edgar there.
Okay, well, that would explain a little bit. I decided not to go there. I don't know, I was trying to be really aggressive early too, and I kind of got bopped by Ifrit. And had to reevaluate because I found the early... Like the Valiant Knife, there were dice somewhere that a Jumping Shadow could use, so I went to one town and just tried to go from there. And then by the end, I don't know, I got kind of scared of the statues, and I was like, well, I can get to 23 checks pretty quick if I go, buy this Esper and do that and that and that. And so I just decided to go for the skip and play safer instead of diving the tower once I found my 6th character.
Got it. That makes
So
sense.
it's mostly like I just don't like Zone Eater because I can't consistently, personally get through the guard reliably in
Yeah, the guards are
a
always
reasonable amount of time. So it's just like, I don't know. I don't go there. I pay the price sometimes. I'm trying to get better at going there more, but I don't know. There were just a lot of other options, and I kind of got sucked into the. I won't admit to doing the most amount of thinking. I've got like, some cold medicine brain going on, but I kind of favored the chunk checks of Magitech and Floating Continent once I felt like I could handle anything that could be there. And I was looking for money too to buy an Esper, and that wasn't even really what I needed at the end of the day. But and then Inferno bullied me too. But
yeah, that makes sense.
other than some of those bumps, I may not have taken maybe the fastest path, and I think when I unlocked Final Kefka, I probably could have just went to the tower and gotten through. That's my takeaway for next time is, especially in the later weeks, gonna have to be more aggressive and just try to send it and see what happens.
Yeah, since you mentioned later weeks, I'm going to ask Papa Shango first and then come back to you. Papa Shango, what do you think about the Flashback Battle Royale in general? I don't know if you were around for all these seeds when they first ran or just some of them. Are there any flag sets in particular you really enjoy or are looking forward to?
Well, I've kind of been glancing through it. I'm a relatively newer runner, just started earlier this year for the Moogle Cup 1. And so I started watching when these Warring Triads were just finishing up. Didn't quite understand a lot of the game at the time, but have since gotten more on it. And so far, I've been liking the flashback, seeing kind of what things were like back then. So far, it seems like they wanted to make them a little harder, a little more painful. We get a little bit of whiplash going from the Moogles' first tournament to the Coliseum, back to Ultros League 1, then back to like Madwins, but it's definitely interesting. And so far I really liked this. Doom's Rage was my first time doing one of these.
Sorry, did we lose everybody? Is it just me here now? I guess not. Sigil, you can still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you, Schwanz.
Yeah, Schwanz,
okay,
I can hear you.
So yeah, thank you everybody to the runners for volunteering. Can't have the races without the runners. And Arista and Dwyer, thanks for doing commentary. This is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed watching this flag set back, and I forgot how much fun it was to watch.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for the viewers. We really appreciate it. If you're new here to Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide, you can go to our website, ff6worldscollide.com, see link to our Discord, get in there. Thank you, SpeedGaming, for hosting. Big thank you to the Schwanz for doing both the restreaming and tracking to keep us on track. Thanks as well to my co-commentator, Dwyer. My name's been Arusta. Thank you to all the runners, and have a great night, everybody. I don't know, Schwanz, if you know what's on next up on SpeedGaming.
Let me go back to some of my buttons, and we'll see here. What does the schedule look like? It looks like we've got nothing until tomorrow morning, so this will be it for tonight. Tomorrow morning, it looks like a lot of A Link to the Past randomizer races. So if you're into that sort of thing, be glued to the SpeedGaming family of networks for tomorrow. We'll be back next Wednesday night at our usual time, which is around this time. And hopefully everybody can join us then. Thanks a bunch, and we'll catch you later.
Thanks,
all right,
everyone.
Have a good night. Thank you very much.